Hey Hail Stalkers, happy Tuesday. Man, does it feel like a Friday already? We have had day after day of severe storms out there, so it feels like we have just been going and going and going, and our meteorologists have definitely been working overtime the last few days, and it feels like maybe our computers are as well. We are not getting any clickers working today. You guys see me? I'm pressing the button here. It's okay, we'll figure this out. Alrighty, well, let's talk about your headlines here. There we go. I'll just do this manually. Strong to violent tornadoes. Several tornadoes from Mississippi to Tennessee today. So that's where we're really watching for our major tornado risk today. We're also watching for baseball-sized hail again this afternoon. So large hail is another risk on the forecast for today, mainly in the Missouri Valley, because as we see those storms shift off to the east, it will become more of a wind risk. That tornado risk still involved, but more of a wind risk later on this evening. And is there an end in sight? I told you that we have had just day after day of storms across the U.S., and I'm sure a lot of people are ready for a break. Well, the good news is that if you're ready for a storm break, we start to see storms slow down just a little bit over the next few days. And we'll talk about exactly why that is happening and when that happens coming up in just a few minutes. But let's talk about that severe outlook. You can see by today, we're talking about the eastern portion of Missouri and Arkansas into mainly Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But we do have a few storms in the Midwest as well. Your hail risk will be primarily on the on the west side of this risk. So there's your hail risk highlighted there in red, bullseye for Memphis right here, on the eastern side of Missouri and Arkansas. By tomorrow, we see this risk shift off to the east, and then by Thursday, we take a turn back to the plains, and we have another chance for storms in the plains on Thursday. Now, what we're really watching for here, we're not going to talk about it too much, but I do want to mention that what we're watching for here will be that high wind and large hail threat. Let's move on to, I think it's your giveaway. Yes. Okay, so have you guys done this yet? If you haven't, you absolutely need to. Make sure that you go on to any social media platform that we have and talk about how Hailtrace has helped you over the last 15 years. This is our 15-year anniversary this month, and it's super easy to enter into the contest here. All you have to do is record a video or write a post about how Hailtrace has helped your company succeed. Tag us in that post, and the most important part here, use the hashtag 15 years of Hailtrace. Now, one contest that we have going on right now that we have not gotten into the forecast, it's only happening for about 6 hours today, is you could win Thunder tickets. So if you live in Oklahoma, or Texas, or Arkansas, or Kansas, and you can drive to Oklahoma, you could win Thunder tickets to Game 2 against Minnesota. And how you do that is on our Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn pages right now. It's super simple, so head over there and check out how to win. Alrighty, moving on to your local storm reports here. Yesterday, the storm reports started out slow, but it seemed like it blew up just so quickly. We had storms, oh hey, the clicker works now. Wow, I wish that would have worked earlier. I'm glad I checked. Okay, so we had storms mainly across the northern portion of the U.S., but then we turned down to the south into Oklahoma. We're talking about the northern portion of Texas and into Oklahoma City. We really started off with Norman right here, getting some decent-sized hailstones, but nothing compares to what we saw down in the Nakona area. We saw hailstones over 4 inches in size, over the size of a softball, just to the east of Wichita Falls. And that seemed to just like spark something in the atmosphere, because all of a sudden we saw storm after storm after storm go up anywhere from Kansas City all the way up to Des Moines into Oklahoma City and then out to the south and east. So Kansas City was one of the biggest cities to get hit first. Oklahoma City, we got one little storm that could. But St. Louis was another place that had one storm just come up from the south and target the west side of the city, and then they got all of these storms that came in behind it into the overnight hours. We got some storms out in Wichita as well, so we got some big cities hit yesterday. Actually, we have a few storms going on right now. Let's go out to the east. There's a tornado warning ongoing right along the Tennessee state line near the Waterloo area. Hail risk here, not very impressive. less than the size of an inch, so less than the size of a quarter, but we could see a potential tornado ongoing with this storm down in southern Tennessee. We do have a watch officially in place right now. Let's get some information on this storm watch. We have a tornado watch for Middlesboro, North Corbin, and Somerset. About 300,000, almost 400,000 people impacted in this watch that goes until 8 o'clock Eastern time. But as for these storms that are farther out to at the very beginning of this watch, on the western side of this watch, nothing is severe right now. So moving on to what we saw yesterday, hailstorm highlight here. We like to call it the hail light. St. Louis, western side, 3-star hailstorm. The largest hail size that we saw was 2 inches in size, about 100,000 homes impacted in this area. We also saw a tornado warning in this area later on. Let's take a look at your next hailstorm highlight, Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City got some good hail, especially down on the southern side of the city. You see that those larger hailstones really favored the southeastern side of Kansas. There's not a ton of population out there, but really Kansas City was the big city hit in this area. About 125 homes impacted, 2.5-inch size hail, so that's about the size of a tennis ball. And taking a look at that Oklahoma and Texas storm here, so Tulsa was the really big city to get impacted here. We had a max hail size, however, for this entire map of 4-inch size hailstone, and that was down near the Oklahoma and Texas state line near the Red River. About 300,000 people impacted by these storms across Oklahoma and Texas yesterday. So that was another 3-star hailstorm. Alrighty, moving on to your forecast today. What we're watching for today is a low pressure system that's moving to the east. So you can see that right up here. There's your low pressure system that's really sitting in the Midwest right now, Iowa, Midwest area. We've got this trough that is dipping down into places like Tennessee and Kentucky, really making some good forcing for these storms off to the eastern side of the state right now. But this is not the main round of storms that we're watching for. We're really watching for a second round of storms that is happening later on today after 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we've got a few hours until we see these storms pop up. And then that'll continue through about 11 o'clock this evening. And we'll talk about the hazards here in just a minute. You can see our current temperatures in the lower 70s, 71 here in Oklahoma City, upper 70s into Dallas. So we've got some decent heat in this area. Hail risk here. We're talking about Missouri, Arkansas, especially on the east side, I think we'll have the best risk for hail. But something that we're seeing today compared to yesterday is these hailstones are going to be so much smaller today compared to yesterday. We could see some larger hail up into the Midwest, but for the most part, this really will be a Missouri, Arkansas, western side of Kentucky and Tennessee risk here. So let's jump right into it. Your max forecasted hail size today. Yesterday, we saw larger than softball size hail. Today, I'm making it smaller. Let's call it baseball size hail today. Where is that expected? Again, I told you in between the Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois state line. So just right along the state line here, a place that got hit just a few days ago is expected to get hit once again today. This side of Missouri has seen a lot of tornado and hail action the past few days. So we're expecting the largest hail sizes right in here highlighted in red. We're also expecting the greatest likelihood from Greenville to Memphis all the way up to southern Illinois today. The farther east that you go, the more wind risk that you're going to get from these storms, okay? We're going to see some isolated storms to start at first. That's a great hail risk right there. But as these supercells collide with each other, they congeal into a line and it becomes more of a wind risk. So you'll see that on our maps here in just a minute. That tornado forecast here really targeting the Nashville, Memphis, and Greenville areas. So we're talking about the northern side of Mississippi and Alabama, and then into most of Tennessee and most of Kentucky. So that'll be your biggest tornado risk for today. And then now moving on to your timeline, what we're watching for here is that line of storms happening right now, right? You've got that severe tornado watch for this line of storms that's going through Kentucky and Tennessee right now. But that's not the only risk for storms today. Look back to the west, and you've got these isolated storms going up in Arkansas and Missouri on the east sides of the state. These storms will be tracking to the east into Tennessee and Kentucky, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Eventually, these isolated storms will congeal into a line, and that's whenever we start to see that wind risk happen. You'll see that as we head into the late evening hours, shortly after sundown. Let's call it 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. That's whenever you'll see that shift from a hail risk to a wind risk. And yes, we have a chance for winds to be very, very high again today. So what we saw yesterday was we saw winds up to 80 miles an hour, some very, very strong wind gusts yesterday. So we're expecting to see that once again today. Memphis is kind of whenever we start to see that changeover from isolated supercells to more of a congealed line of storms. And any time that you start to see this line of storms start to bow out like this, that's whenever you start to get those strong wind gusts. So we'll be watching for that signature later on this evening. Atlanta, your timeline is going to be very late tonight. So we're talking about the late night hours. It's dark whenever storms come through. You're going to see the lightning. You're going to hear the thunder. But it's going to be very, very hard to see any of those big severe weather threats. You know, strong wind, tornadoes, large hail, very difficult to see at night. So make sure that you have multiple ways to get severe weather alerts in Atlanta today. Taking a look at your future radar, you know, kind of zooming out here. I think we're going to the Midwest now. Yeah, Chicago, you're expected to get rain. However, your severe risk is very, very low. That risk intensifies as you head farther down into the southern portion of Illinois and Indiana. These storms are going to continue to track to the east through the overnight hours and by early tomorrow morning ending up in Pennsylvania. So you could wake up tomorrow morning with storms in Pennsylvania. Now that brings me to your risk on Wednesday, which we do have a tornado risk on Wednesday. That'll be mainly for the East Coast. So our New England states, make sure that you are keeping an eye on that storm risk for tomorrow. Here you go, early tomorrow morning. All of those storms are hugging the East Coast here. Slowly moving off to bring you a pretty nice afternoon across Raleigh and across North and South Carolina into the Virginias, but you've still got some rain lingering up into our New England states here. And there's the risk for Wednesday. Here's your tornado threat on Wednesday. It's a low risk, a level 1 risk, not only off on the East Coast from North Carolina to Virginia, but also up in Pennsylvania. So I told you about those areas that we're going to be waking up to storms tomorrow. So keep an eye on that as we head into your Wednesday morning and afternoon. Now I told you that this is one of the last risks in a while. So we've got another round of storms in southern Oklahoma and northern Texas on Thursday. That'll be for high wind and large hail. But for the most part, we do start to slow down on these massive severe weather days. So why is that? Well, what we start to see is this little ridge build into the main portion, the central portion of the U.S. here. And what that means, you know, a ridge often comes with high pressure system, which often comes with calm and warmer weather. So what that means is that we're going to see a break in severe weather for now. However, another trough coming in could intensify the risks for severe weather as we head into the early portion of next week. I would be keeping an eye on your Memorial Day and then maybe even the following days after that, Tuesday and Wednesday. I would keep an eye on those days for potential severe weather. It's still too far out to really determine exactly when the next round will hit, but you could see little short waves come in here and give us some rain, maybe a potential large hailstorm or high wind. So of course, keep it with your forecast every single day at noon. We'll keep you updated. 24-hour temperature change here. It looks like temperatures are a lot cooler today across the plains, but a lot warmer out to the east. You know, that warm air is absolutely going to help to fuel storms later on today. So make sure that you have multiple ways to get your weather alerts today. Join in our giveaway for not only Thunder tickets, but also a drone that retails at $600. So we would love to give that back to our clients and to those who watch our noon forecast every day. And don't forget to follow and contact us for information on hail maps here. I can see your questions on the side of the screen over here, so thanks for joining us today. We've got Michael asking what's headed towards Kentucky. Kentucky on the east side right now, you've got some storms going on with a tornado watch in place. And then on the west side of Kentucky, expect storms later on this afternoon. And we've got Brian on here from YouTube. Thanks for commenting today. We appreciate you guys jumping on here this afternoon. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And give us a call if you are interested in any hail, wind, or tornado maps. Give us a call at 855-334-4245 or info@hailtrace.com. Or you can head over to our website, hailtrace.com. All of the storms that we saw yesterday are all mapped at hailtrace.com right now. We had meteorologists working overtime and through the overnight hours making sure that those storms were mapped for you. So that is available at hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. We'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow at noon.